friends, it's Nicole Scott from the Gorgeous Gray Movement, and I want to thank you so much for tuning in to hear another Silver Sister story. We have Sue here from Canada. You can find her on Instagram at the Silver Titanium Life, and I will put her handle down below so you can follow her. Thank you, Sue, for being here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So take a look at her hair. Like, hello, she is totally embracing this beautiful, and I love the white, I love the contrast. But we want to dive in. The first question that we always love to hear is, Sue, why did you decide to do something that's so radical in a world where we're supposed to cover up our grays and look a certain way to the world? What made you decide to just pull the trigger and say, let's ditch the dye?
Well, to be honest, I've been thinking about it for a few years, and I would say maybe 5 or 6 years ago, had gone into the grocery store and I saw this woman with gorgeous silver hair checking out. And of course, this is all pre-COVID. So I went right up to her and said, I love your hair. It's beautiful. And she didn't say to me, you should do this. The only thing she said to me is, you're going to love the freedom. And that was it. That's all she said to me. And I was like, okay, great. And I left. And honestly, that stuck with me for the next few years while I kept going every 4 weeks to cover the roots, trying to mascara, the root cover up, like all the stuff you need to use. And then when I turned 48, so that was 2 years ago, I had decided, okay, this is it. Like, I'm done with the maintenance. My hair was starting to thin because I'm getting older too. I wasn't, I have issues with my health. So I have celiac disease. So I'm always very aware of my health now more than ever. And I thought, I need to stop dyeing my hair. Like, this isn't working. So I stopped dyeing my hair in the summer of 2019. And then 8 weeks later, I was leaving for Australia for a work exchange for 3 weeks. And they were going to do photos and video. And I thought, oh my gosh, I have to dye my hair. And I did. I cracked. So I dyed my hair, and then I couldn't get back. I couldn't get back to stop dyeing it again until COVID hit. And then I was home, and I just decided. I listened to a podcast with you in it. You were in the podcast, and I listened to your story, and I thought, this is it. Like, this is the time. I literally came home. I was walking the dog while I listened to the podcast, came home and said to my husband, I'm not dyeing my hair anymore. And he was okay. Like, he had known I was thinking about it, but I literally said, that's it. So I think that was the middle of May of 2020. Mm-hmm. And I just haven't, that's it. I haven't dyed it. I haven't put anything in it, just cold turkey.
I love it. Cold turkey. I would tell the women that that's so badass, because
Yeah.
I thought about going to cold turkey, but I just didn't have the bravery like you did. So congratulations on that. So what have you learned in this process of allowing that beautiful natural hair color? Because most women will say it becomes so much bigger than just stitching the dye. So what did you kind of learn in that unfolding? And obviously you're still learning as you go out to the world, because I guarantee you get looks.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And I noticed, I think the hardest time was those first 3 months when the roots were like, like this big. And people are wondering, like, oh, she just isn't dyeing her hair because it's COVID. So I could feel people looking at me. Now I definitely see people looking at me with this half and half Grombre look, going, oh, she's really not dyeing her hair anymore. So yeah, I don't know. It's just this amazing transformation of, why didn't I do this sooner? This feels much more like who I'm supposed to be right now. And sure, if my hair was still naturally brown, I'd be thrilled, I'd be happy, but it's not anymore, because that's not the person that I am anymore. I've raised 2 children. I mean, they're still growing up, but I, raised 2 children, been married for many, many years, and I'm not the person I was then. This is who I am now. So all this silver coming out is kind of a testament to this second half of my life, this new person that I'm becoming.
Oh, I love that. And when you go out to the world, did you feel the need to have to cover up for the first little bit?
No, I never did. I do love hats. So luckily in the winter in Canada, you're constantly wearing a hat, so that helps. But no, once I decided this is it. Like, and I kind of put on a little bit of armor every time I'd go out to think, okay, if someone says this is what I'm going to say. Like, I kind of prepared myself for maybe some comments because you think you're going to get a lot of them. And yes, people do notice, and I do feel that people are looking, but I have yet to have someone say to me in public, oh, why have you stopped dyeing your hair? You should dye your hair. Like, no one has said that to me in the past 13 months or 12
Wow.
months, not one person. So I'm sure they're wondering. My family's been great. Everybody's been super supportive. And I work with a lot of women because I visit multi sites. And in the beginning, they would say, so are you really doing this? And I'd say, yep, I'm really doing this. And then they were fine. It was just oh, okay, great. So all the negative comments I thought that I was going to get, they never happened.
Awesome. You mentioned about celiac.
Hmm.
Um, so there was kind of like your background in like knowing that you needed to treat your body well. Did you ever think that you would do it for the health of it? Letting the gray come in because you wanted to be either healthier or not put like that much
Hmm.
chemicals on. Did you make that connection at all?
I didn't in the beginning. So in the beginning, it was more around the maintenance of constantly covering the roots and really saying to myself, who am I doing this for? Like,
Mm,
if I'm doing this for everybody else, this doesn't make sense. And then the more listening and research that I did, the more I realized that this was really unhealthy for my body, for my hair. Um, because I have celiac disease, it's an autoimmune disorder, so I'm already at risk for a whole bunch of other things. My nails become more brittle. I muscle pain, joint pain. Even if I avoid the gluten, those things are still present. So in the last 8.5 years, I've had to really buckle down on making sure I eat as clean as possible. I'm not very good at it all the time. Nobody really can be. Um, but I, eat really well. I think this was kind of like one of the last steps of you need to let this go now. And I remember listening to you in that podcast, and you were saying how you had gone gray, ditched the dye, and how you felt better. And I thought, I have to try this. Like, what if I feel better? Because this time last year, I wasn't feeling great. I didn't have the energy. I didn't have stamina. There was some
yeah,
things that just didn't feel good. And I thought, I have to do this because what if this is one of the reasons? What if this is
yeah.
one of the things? And yes, COVID's been really hard and the lockdowns have been difficult,
Yeah.
but I feel fantastic. Physically, I feel fantastic. Sure, there's days where everybody gets down because of what's
Mhm.
going on, but I've been exercising consistently. I'm eating better. I
Yeah.
gave up caffeine. I gave up alcohol, and I feel wonderful. So,
Wow. I love how you kind of really did the deep dive because I mean, it's a big, we have layers. We have layers as women, and we show up the way that we think the world wants us to show up,
mhm,
right? And then when we start to debunk that and redefine who we are, and for you, like knowing that like your health was, a priority, I just love how you just took those steps, and
mhm,
and it's baby steps for a lot of us. Like, for some of us, like in my book, I talk about like, I thought I did all these wonderful things for my health, but then, the lumps in my breasts, I'm like, well, where else am I avoiding it?
right.
And so, like you, I was like, okay, so how about if I get rid of the dye? How about if I get
Mhm,
rid of the alcohol? How about if I
mhm,
bring more awareness to, oh, yeah, making sure I'm not drinking out of plastic because we can get lazy, me from, lazy of the plastics coming in from my teenagers because they, get these deals on these plastic bottles and they think they're so cool from,
right.
that brand name company, and it's plastic and they're convenient, and you go for a workout and you put your water, it's just those little things, right, that start to add up. So I love that you are feeling good in your body and that this was,
Mhm,
one of the last things. And it typically is one of the last things.
yeah.
When I was interviewing the owner of the Green Beaver Company,
Mhm,
Ellen. And for the last 20 years, Ellen has been going around Canada to all the different trade shows, talking to thousands and thousands and thousands of women. And
mhm,
he said the last two things that typically women
right.
are not willing to give up until it's like, bam, wake up call, or
Mhm,
bam, health crisis, is he's like, deodorant,
mhm.
they,
Yep.
and hair dye.
Yep.
And I thought, wow, that was really interesting. Now, this one, thank gosh for I'm going to say, well, COVID, because
Right.
I don't think I've worn deodorant in a year. Thank
Okay.
goodness Zoom, you can't smell. Thank goodness
Right.
there's not like a smell button on Zoom is all I'm going to say. Thank goodness for that. So that's a good win for us women is we don't need deodorant if you're sitting in front of Zoom all day.
Right.
And then for this, there's so many stories of women just like yourself that just said that this was the push that they needed to just try it on, right?
Yeah. Well, and I think, the natural deodorant thing, I went a few years back. A good friend of mine owns a Clean Kiss lifestyle, and she developed natural deodorant. So I'm hooked. And so that process started, the natural products, all of that, I transitioned to. This really was one of the last steps. There's still a few more things that I want to work on with regards to, eating less animal protein and, like,
Yep.
just micro little steps along the way.
Yeah.
Because I think if you do it all at once, it's a little crazy. And yes, cold turkey seems really drastic, but
Mhm.
this is almost 13 months of growth. So it doesn't look like this right away. You start to
Yeah.
transition and get used to it.
Yeah.
And I did say in the beginning, I was supposed to go to a wedding this month, but of course it's not happening now. So I did think, oh, maybe by April I'll blend it in then, because I'll have this wedding and I don't know if I want to go. This was a year ago. I don't know if I want to go like this.
Yeah.
Now, if the wedding was happening, I would totally go like this, because this is who I am. Like, if you don't like it, I'm really sorry, but this is me.
Yeah.
So, but in the beginning, I thought I would blend it, and now I really don't feel the reason to. It needs to be cut. So once
Yeah.
the salons reopen, I do need to get a good trim. But I don't think I'm going to blend the color out. I think I'm really enjoying the process.
I love it. I would not touch it. I would not touch her beautiful hair. And for those women that are listening, going to watch this later, is cold turkey. I know in the beginning seems so drastic,
Mhm.
but one, you're going to save yourself a lot of money. You're going to save yourself a lot of time in the chair because take it from me, 10 months before I did full transition with help of the hairdresser, I did add it up about $2,500
Oh my
Sue, is what
gosh.
I spent in 10
Right,
months because I had very dark hair like you.
right,
And if you do it all at once, you risk of losing half of your hair. I saw
right.
that video.
Yeah,
So I was like, nope, not going to do that. But they said, give it 10 months to keep on slowly going through the color wheel to get
right,
to a place where then we can put the silver, the gray to match, that 10-month. And that's what I
right.
did. I grew it out to about 10 months, kept on shading it, shading it, shading it, and then matched it. And guess what, ladies? You listen to this clearly because I never got warned.
Right.
Within about a week, it didn't match. Okay. Then it was like, oh, I need to go back and tone it.
Oh
And then I
no.
need to go back and tone it. And I need to go back and tone it. And at that point, when I found out that I was going to have to go back every couple of weeks to tone it, I'm like, my whole point of doing this was one, to get rid of the chemicals, and two, to
Right.
stay away from the hairdresser. So I would say at 10 months, then I went cold turkey. Then I was like, I was done. I looked, I had pukey yellows and
Oh
oranges,
no.
and it's like, so don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't go through what I did. I'm glad I went through that because I could write about it and share about it with you guys to save you money, time, and to look at her cool look of like that ombre that's going on, which is so cool.
Well, and when I read your book, I think you talked about that in your book, and I was, listening to that. I'm going, okay, I don't think I want to do that. And then one of the reasons I also wanted to stop was I wanted my hair to get thicker because it was getting thinner. And I thought if I put more chemicals in it, I'm probably going to burn it further.
Right.
And it was at a point where I would dye my hair and it would look great the first week. And then all of a sudden the ends would look all frazzled. And I thought, my hair's not healthy anymore. It might be brown. It's not gray, but it's not healthy. So now I can feel the health of it. And yeah, I'm just going to keep letting it go and just trim it as often as I need to. And then eventually, hopefully by, the summer or fall, it'll be all silver. We'll see.
That's awesome. And do you
Yeah.
feel that your natural hair that's coming in
Mhm.
do you feel it's healthier and is it getting thicker?
Oh yeah, I used to have. I might post it one day on my page, but I had when I would put my hair in a ponytail, I would have like gaps here, and now have filled in with new growth. And that used to bother me too because I put my hair in a ponytail and it would be like this reddish brown, and then you'd see these like gaps in the.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, what is happening, right? I'm getting a receding hairline, which that happens, but
Yeah.
if it's because I'm dyeing my hair, then this makes no sense. I need to really reconsider that. And I know the worst fear is, you know, it won't look like that on me, or I'm going to look old, or if I took all my hair and put it in a hat right now and you couldn't see my hair, my face would look exactly the same.
Right.
So this is the age that I am. This is what I look like at 49.8. You know, this is me. So we get really wrapped up in that stigma that gray means old. And
Yeah.
I work with young children. So I was in the playground one day, and one of the children, I was in the playground. All I hear in the background is grandma, grandma. And I'm like, oh no, she's not calling me. And sure enough, I turn around and she's talking to me. She's going, grandma. And I'm like, oh, sweetie, like, I'm not your grandma, right? And I'm thinking it starts that young, where children are associating, you know, gray hair with, you must be a grandma, you must be an older woman.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I laughed it off because she was 3. Like, you know, she's precious. She doesn't, you know, she's not trying to hurt my feelings or offend me.
Yeah.
But I thought it starts that early, where we associate that. And I think all the Silver Sisters, all the women out there who are doing this, are really trying to change that narrative to say, you can be in your 20s, you can be in your 30s, 40s, 50s, it doesn't matter. Like, this is who you are now, embrace it.
So true. And it starts, I think, with, you know, the magazines. I entered the Tangled Silver
Mm,
this week. And so she's got the magazine out, which is, I think, the first silver magazine, which is so
yeah,
inspiring. I'm going to be interviewing the maker and filmmaker of Gray is the New Blonde.
yes.
I'm going to be interviewing her later this afternoon. And it's just getting the message out. I think
Hmm.
books, we need to actually, you know, when books are written in stories for kids,
Yeah,
that the young mom in her 20s or 30s can show with it. Even TV, there's a film maker, and she's from Canada.
right.
She's from, where did she, from Grand Prairie, I think she's north.
Hmm.
And the Great White North, I think the gray, but she
Right.
did gray instead of
Oh,
great, the
yes, yes,
gray,
Tanis,
great.
right?
Yeah,
Tanis,
yeah.
yeah,
Tana. So she's an actress.
right.
I interviewed her. So that was really cool because she's like, again, going into a whole new area where, you know, typically you should look 10 years younger than what they want to cast you, she said.
Hmm.
So if you're 40, you should look 30.
Right.
And so here she is, you know, leaning in and she's getting roles. She's
Yeah,
getting roles. So I'm like, this is amazing. You know, it
yeah.
starts with this movement. And I want to thank you so much for being part of this movement and being brave and getting your story out there. Is there any last final words that you want to say to our amazing Silver Sisterhood, or women that are just sitting here going, I want to do it. I want to do it too.
Yeah.
But what should I do?
Well, I think the first thing is try it, because you can always, if it's not going to work for you, you don't, it's not a one try and that's it, you're done, right? You can always
Mhm.
try it. And if you're not ready, you don't have to continue.
Yeah.
But if you stick with it past those first, I think, 3 or 4 months,
Mhm.
you start to see what your pattern's going to look like. Because I thought I would be this silver all over, and I'm not. I'm this silver like here, and then it's darker in the back. So it's this very unique pattern that's only mine. I know there's other sisters who are similar to me. I think yours is quite similar, a little bit darker in the back, but this is my salt and pepper look. And
Mhm.
I really started to fall in love with it, but you have to try it in order to at least get to the point where you feel you can embrace it. And all the negative comments you think you are going to get are probably not going to happen. Now, I have to dismiss internet trolls. We have to just put them into a different category because they do that for different reasons. But even that, I haven't had a lot of negative comments. I don't even respond to them. They're a waste of my time.
Awesome. Absolutely. Yeah, great advice. So thank you so much, Sue, for sharing
No
your heart
problem.
and your great tips and tricks. For more of these inspiring stories, you want to make sure to tune in to the YouTube channel, Gorgeous Gray Movement. And again, follow Sue at the Silver Titanium Life. Yeah, if you are thinking about it, this is your opportunity to just follow the ones that have gone before you and lean in.
Mhm.
Awesome. Thanks for the interview.
Thanks.
Have a great
Thanks so
day.
much. Thank you.